as the head coach at his alma mater, his Newman High School. He guided the Greenies to the Division III state semifinals in 2014, and he's won 89 games while losing just 39 in those 12 seasons. Newman faces Thomas Jefferson Thursday night at 6:30 p.m. at Hollis-Memphis Stadium, and a game that you can watch live at CrescentCitySports.com and listen to live at WGSO 990 AM. Please give a warm Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation Quarterback Club welcome to Coach Nelson Stewart of Newman High School. Nelson.
Thank you all so much. First off, I want to give a deep thanks to Ken Trahan. As any coach can tell you, I don't think there's any writer in the city that puts as much time and effort into coverage of prep sports, not just football. His news site is fantastic. We actually go to it just for all of his insight, all of his reports, and obviously all of his previews. That I think today's age of computers and websites, a lot of the old school reporting that I grew up with has been lost, and I think he really continues that each and every week. And for that, I'm also forever grateful. And next to him, I think the person that does the most for prep football, the amazingly handsome and famous Ed Daniels, who's in the front row, who we love on Friday Night Football, but I know he's going to get me, I'm sure. But in all honesty, his coverage is fantastic. I think that how he dedicates his Friday nights to coverage of all the sports, I think doesn't go unnoticed. And the reason we coach is for the kids. And I know they love prep sports. He loves the players that play it. And again, we're just so thankful for the jobs that those two do. Anytime I'm asked to speak here, the person I always speak about first is really the person that built the whole program that I'm in charge of, Tony Reginelli. I often say that I'm continuing just to steer the ship that he built many, many years ago. He's 82 years young, as sharp as ever. We talk each week. I always say he continues to tell me to focus on defense and run the football and stop throwing so much. And he's very interested in it, and we're excited anytime you come to our games. The Mannings and spearheaded by Peyton redid our entire stadium, and the first thing you see is Reginelli Way, and I think that's something very important to us. It's a nice patio with a practice field, really for us, which is a reminder of his ideals, his philosophy, and how hard he worked to build our program. And when it comes to Newman, it's actually been a big year of change for us. I was incredibly blessed for the first 10, 11 years to have two guys that coached me with over 50 years of coaching experience, and Bradley Ferris and Ken Lass. They're outstanding assistant coaches that helped as mentors to me and were amazingly consistent as coordinators on our staff. Both have stepped away and retired from coaching, and they are deeply missed, and I think that has been our biggest obstacle the past year or two. And with a lot of hard work and effort this past year, I think we've assembled as fine a staff as I've ever been a part of. We have a young defensive coordinator named Dustin Notnagel, who came highly recommended from Mark Hudspeth at University of Louisiana Lafayette, along with Neil Weiner at the Dunham School. He serves as our defensive coordinator. He has been outstanding. While he's young, 24, 25 years old, he has a beautiful football mind, and our kids have really played well for him. Steve Victory, longtime head football coach at Metairie Park Country Day, has come back to the city and is doing a wonderful job as our secondary coach, and also working with our special teams. Clinton Wenzel, who has worked at St. Charles Catholic Lakeshore and is actually, we tell him, the first ever professional football player that's coached on our staff. Stepped in as our defensive line coach. He's doing a fantastic job. Jason Matthews, our head middle school coach, who's been in that capacity 5 years with our O-line, and also Will Walter, our longest tenured head coach at 12 years. And it's always rewarding when your old players come back. And we have one named Bruno Vetter, who played under my old coach, Coach Stevens, at Dartmouth, and he works with our linebackers as well. When it comes to us, I think everything starts with our middle school. We put a lot of time and effort into developing that program, running schematically our offense, our defense, and trying to build our culture in that area. Jason Matthews has done that over the past few years. They're in a young football league, and they've been in the championship game 3 years in a row, won 2 out of 3, but it's more than trophy stuff. It's more about their teaching the fundamentals and doing things, the right way for us, and we've been really proud of that effort. And you know, that, and I always try and say that. In terms of this year, I think last year was really kind of the kickstart for us and what our expectations are. We had a really nice start to last year. We came within a breath of defeating Riverside on a late field goal, and then all of a sudden ran into a little bit of a buzzsaw. Coach Monica and St. Charles Catholic, Vanderbilt Catholic, and finally Metairie Park Country Day. That moment actually really served for us as a catalyst to reinvent ourselves and work even harder and trying to be a better football program. And I think our kids really responded. And for me, it's as proud of a year as I've ever been a part of. All the years you hear about winning 10, 11 games and all those things. Well, it was a tough one last year to just get in. And we were able, under our head strength coach, Nick Bratton, and revamping practice and more physicality, to really have probably one of my favorite victories we've been a part of on the road, defeating the Dunham School, who was a 5 seed in the first round to go to state quarterfinals. And anyone that knows power rankings can tell you that doesn't happen very often. The power rankings are there for good reason. They're there because of where you're slotted, and we're able to go on the road and really get a fantastic win, a thrilling 41-40 victory, and go back and lost against the quarterfinals against my good friend Brennan Dess and Catholic New Iberia. Last year we lost Miles LePere, who was a phenomenal player, one of our all-time greats. But I think the best thing for me about Miles is he chose to go to my alma mater, Tulane University. He's actually the first ever Newman quarterback that's played at Tulane University. We were blown away by Coach Willie Fritz, who took time to come visit our campus, really recruit him as a recruited walk-on. He's had a wonderful experience. He's learning, you know, more than I could ever teach him each and every day at Tulane. And I think they're going to get, you know, 4 or 5 good years out of him. And again, we're thrilled for him and obviously his future. This year, arguably the most starters we've ever had return. We have 18 starters back. We only had 4 starters, obviously, were seniors last year. Ironically, the player you hear most about was not a starter last year, Martin Butcher. He was 12-0 as a JV quarterback, great footwork, throws the ball well, threw for 280 yards in the Jamboree, was excellent in our scrimmage. We played in a little bit of a monsoon the other night, but he still completed 90% of his passes before we started to have to just kind of run off tackle. Couldn't quite put it through the air. He had a great summer in 7-on-7. He's just a great system quarterback, and one, obviously, a player we're very excited about. 3 of our 4 wide receivers return, with Dylan Hill, arguably the most improved player on our team, who's 2nd in the state in the high jump. He's a great leaper. He's a great route runner. You know, he has very aggressive hands. He's kind of our go-to guy, explosive guy over the top, and he holds a few offers, mainly biggest one probably from Trinity at International at this point. But he also has a number of track opportunities. Miami and a few schools that are looking to us at our school. It doesn't matter what he plays, just it gives him the best possible opportunity to go to college. And we're thrilled with his output. Story Charbonnet and Roy Calhoun are just fantastic at the slot position. They're quick, they find grass, and Story was all district last year. Murray's arguably our most explosive and fast player. Tremont Sutherland is a wide receiver, had his best game ironically against Dunham as a freshman, where he's our leading receiver and caught a key 4th down pass, about 4th and 10 to really seal our last second drive. Fortunately, we have 3 good running backs. While we have 10 personnel, we run 1 with James Poche. We also have Joel Taylor and TJ Bush, all offer different things, you know, bring different things to the table. While the other night, James had 5 touchdowns rushing. He's a real bruiser, blocks well, runs inside the tackles. TJ is very explosive on the outside. Joel has great hands, and we think all of them bring unique skill sets, so we try and roll all those guys in. What we're most excited about outside those guys is up front. Our 3 linemen who play on both sides of the ball, Hackett Cummings, Ryan White, and Colton Davis, all of which are over 230 pounds. They're very good in the weight room. They have great center of gravity. They're explosive. They zone block well. They play offense. They play defense. And they've been able to really hold the line of scrimmage and really solidify our run game. I'd be remiss not to mention Brandon Williams. He's probably the best edge rusher we've had at our school. At least in my tenure, he's about 6'3", 200 pounds. Got his first offer from Jackson State. He's only a sophomore. I think he has the potential to be a high Division I player. And when it comes to Newman, you hear so much about our quarterbacks and wide receivers. It's rare to hear about a lineman, but I think he's very worthy of that. He's explosive, uses his hands well, 7 sacks as a freshman. And for him, I really think he's one of those players that the sky's the limit. And then our linebackers, we have 3. Bobby Moorside, Winsberg, a 4-year starter, and Liam Rowan, our Mike linebacker, who really plays the box well, very aggressive, very physical. He also plays goal line fullback for us. And then our whole secondary returns intact. We're blessed with an amazing amount of depth there. But Calder, Schmidt, Will Renrow return at corner. Jack Reynolds and Sam Moses, all those are seniors, are at safety. We have also Eli Abramson. We also have Max Moses. So it's nice when you have that amount of versatility, you can roll guys in. So that's just a little bit about our personnel. We're in a tough district. I'm not going to, as we joke, many of us joke, I'm not going to pull a Frank Monica. We are happy that Coach Monica is now playing, and I wish him on 3A. He's as good of a coach as I've ever seen and gone against. Frank has left our district. I wish him well, but I think the district is, while it's lightened a little, losing such a just a absolute powerhouse like St. Charles Catholic, I think we still have a very, very impressive district. Comes to our district, everybody in the state talks about Riverside Academy for good reason. All of their skilled players return. They've been to the Superdome 2 straight years. They had an outstanding win last year. Their personnel, it's hard. You can't just focus on one, but I can just tell you they got them all over the place. They're just exceptional. They have a great coaching staff. Chris Lashney, I take over for Bill Stubbs, but I don't expect them to miss a beat. He's an outstanding coach, great defensive mind, great delegator. He has Shane Bohr on the offensive side. If you've seen those scores up to this point, I think they're as good, if not better, than they were last year. Also, Country Day under Coach Joe Shango, I think year in, year out, they're going to be very, very good. They have a great quarterback. Looks like he's throwing the ball well. Their best skill player, Chris Patagna's back, who kicks, and he does everything for him. And we think, again, that's the kind of program that no matter what, year in, year out, they're just going to be absolutely very, very solid in 2A and a great opponent. South Plaquemine, Southern Night had a great win over Bell Chase, who we are in, every time we play them, you have to respect them. And then obviously coming in, Fisher, who actually was the first team I ever played against back in 1991. I have a lot of respect for that program and Lafitte and the job they're doing. And pre-district for us, we're going to play Berwick, Baton Rouge, we've got Assumption and Lusher, and I guess most importantly is the next one we play Thomas Jefferson. That's on Thursday night. I think it's really important in coaching that you develop relationships. You play against programs and coaches that you know and respect. That's one that I know. And Kevin Kelly, he reached out to us, wanted to play. It'll be a good test for us. We scrimmaged them for years. They're favorites in their district. Good athletic quarterback. They run an attack style 3-5 type defense. They had a really nice win the other night against Haynes Academy. I know they're really excited to be on Thursday night, 6:30, and as Ken alluded to, will be covered obviously and streamed by his website, which we're really thrilled about. Our expectations are always high, but you're only as good as your next game. So we're fortunate the other night. We had a good win against McMain, but our sole focus right now, obviously, is Thomas Jefferson, hopefully improving on last year, and hopefully we can make a little run and see if we have something to say about it in the playoffs. That being said, are there any questions for anybody?
Raise your hand if you have a question. We'll get the microphone to you. So stand over here, please.
You can probably hear me.
Well, we want to use the microphone for the webcast. So. There you go.
What football, school concerns you the most this year? Would you say Riverside?
I say so. I think, I speak and, talking to coaches around, they have to. I think from the standpoint of what's the one on the schedule that jumps out, it is Riverside. Just because when you're dealing with your division, they're the number one team on everybody's board. And that tends to be a rivalry feel, a big game for us. And, focusing just to get there. But, I think it has to be. And I think it's because of the challenge of it. I think all of us as coaches, you want to see where you measure up with the best. I think that's what it's all about. So after that game, I can, assure you, we'll know where we are, where our deficiencies are, and where our strengths are. So, I think every week concerns you. And I think that's one of the things we talk about. We never look to next opponent, but I'd have to say on our schedule, that'd be the one that would jump out to everybody the most.
Is that a home game for you?
It is a home game, yep. It's week 7. Anything else? It really is an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.